Hello crochet friends. Today I'm going to show you how to make a plain granny square. I have this awesome book that was found at Dollar Tree, 150 all-time favorite crochet blocks. And today we're going to do just a simple granny square without color changing. Learning to change colors, as in this diagram, is a little bit more advanced. So once you're comfortable with the basic granny, then I will make another video on color changing. When I learned to crochet, I learned how to read the pattern up here. It's like learning a new language, but it's really just abbreviations. Okay, so for instance, round 1, this is chain 3. That counts as 1 double crochet. Then you do 2 double crochets into the ring.
Chain 3. Then you do 3 double crochets into the ring. Chain 3, repeat.
So don't worry about that for now. You'll pick it up as you go. Some other people learn by looking at these diagrams. There's a little key that shows what each stitch symbol is. And since I have this, I like to compare what I'm doing to see if it looks like this. So for now, I'm going to just show you some simple things to get your granny square started. So everybody should know now how to do a slip knot, because that's how you begin your crochet. One of the coolest ones that one of my students taught me was to hold your tail down and wrap twice around your pointer finger. Take the bottom loop above that loop and then take that loop up and over and pull your tails. And that is a quick and easy way to make a slip stitch. But there's no right or wrong way, as long as you can tighten it up like that. So I like to twist my working yarn around my pinky, and then I kind of weave it through. And that way, when I pinch my work here, my knot below the hook, and I'm working, it glides up, but it doesn't get too taut or too loose. Sometimes you have to work to adjust your tension. So we're going to start with a foundation chain, and we're going to chain 6 and join with a slip stitch into the first chain to form a ring. So just a basic chain of 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to do a slip stitch. I'm going to go from here back to the very first stitch that I made. I'm going to go through one of the posts on that stitch. I'm going to pull my yarn through that and also through the loop on my hook. That's how you form a ring. Okay, now we have this tail here, and it gets kind of annoying. I like to crochet over my tail. So as I'm going on the next steps, I'm just going to have him kind of placed next to my ring, and he will get crocheted in there. So round 1, we're going to chain 3, and that counts as a double crochet, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets into the ring. So I'm going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and it says that counts as my first double crochet. So now I'm going to do 2 double crochets into the ring. So a double crochet, you yarn over, and I use this pointer to kind of hold this yarn here. Go into the ring, grab the working yarn, pull it up. I have 3 loops. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2. Then I have 2 left. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those. That double crochet just basically makes a taller stitch, and so your work grows a lot faster. So now I'm going to do it again so that I have a total of 3. I'm going to yarn over. Remember, my tail is going to be crocheted over. Go into the ring, yarn over and pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So there's my first cluster of 3 double crochets. You can see that right here, and this black arrow is where I started. So now we're going to chain 3, and the chain 3 creates your corner as you start seeing a square. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do 3 more double crochets into the ring, Okay, so we have created our first corner of our square. So if we look here in the center, that is this corner right here. Now we're going to chain 3 and double crochet 3. We're going to chain 3 again, and we're going to double crochet 3. Now we have crocheted over our tail around the ring, so we can just leave him hanging and don't worry about him right now. So we have our 4 clusters, 4 sides of our square. We're going to chain 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of where we did our first chain 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put my hook in there. I'm going to pull through and through. I have completed the very first square, the middle of the granny square. So now we're going to slip stitch into each of the next 2 double crochets and then slip stitch into the chain 3 corner space. So basically you're here, you want to be here. So we have to move over without making a stitch. So you go right here and you're going to do a slip stitch. You pull through and through. So it's moved you over 1 stitch. Now you're going to do it a second time. Above that stitch, you're going to do a slip stitch through and through. So we're getting closer to our chain 3 space right here. Now we go into that space and do another slip stitch. And so we have moved to where we need it to be. And now we're going to chain 3 and do, again, that counts as a double. So 1, 2, and 3. Now we do 2 next to it for a cluster of 3. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets. Our corners are still 3, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 2, 3. Now we're going to jump over this cluster with a chain 1. So you're just going to yarn over and pull through. That's your chain 1. Now you're going to do your 3, 3, and 3 in this chain 3 space. You're going to do 3 doubles. Chain 3. 3 doubles into that same space. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Now we're going to jump over this cluster with a chain 1. We're going to go into this next space and do 3, 3, and 3. Chain 1, another 3, 3, and 3. Okay, so we've made our next corners. We have this last space to jump over with a chain 1, and now we come up to the top of that first chain 3. You go in and do a slip stitch, pull through and through. So there's our second row of granny square. We've ended here, we need to be over here. So we're going to slip stitch twice, once and twice. Now we're next to the chain 3 space, slip stitch into that space, chain up 3. That counts as 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Chain 1. Now, this one is not a corner, but we still need to do 3 double crochets into that space. Chain 1 to jump over to the next corner and do your 3, 3, and 3s. So each of these spaces, you will have at least a cluster of 3 double crochets. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you enjoy crocheting your very first plain granny square. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to finish off your project. I have created 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of the granny square pattern. I could keep going. This could be one giant blanket. So it's never ending, but once you decide on a size that you want, then you will come up here, and so I've completed my last double crochet of 3 clusters, and I still need to do my chain 1 to jump over this last space below. So now I'm back to where I'm going to slip stitch in the top of this chain 3. So I'm going to pull through and through. So I'm done. I don't need to go on anymore. So to finish off, I'm going to go to the next stitch. I'm going to slip stitch again. I'm going to pull through and through. Then I'm going to yarn over and grab this tail and pull him through all the way through the loop on the hook. This is where you could cut a longer piece out here off of your skein and pull that tail through and pull it down snug. Now, you do not want to cut this short. If you cut this tail off right here, it will eventually unravel. So you're eventually going to want to weave in your ends. When I was new to this, I would use my hook to do this, and I would just simply stick it up in the middle of a stitch and pull the tail through, but it takes a little bit longer and it's not as easy as the preferred method, but it's possible. So basically you leave the tail a few inches long and weave it in, and that way your work does not unravel. But the easier thing to do is to get a yarn needle. Now this one's pretty small, has a small eye, but it's big enough that I can force my yarn through it. And then I'm going to weave in my ends. So I'm going to take this is how I do it. I just go in between the stitches and pull, and just kind of wrap it around and in between those stitches. You could even kind of insert it through some of these double crochets. You just want to hide that tail in your work somewhere. And then after you have it woven through a few stitches, then you could cut this piece shorter. And that is how you complete your work. I hope that this is helpful for you, and I hope you enjoy making your granny square.